What's up, guys? My name is Preston from Autonatics, and today we're going to do our supposed to be 30-day check-in, but I went over a little bit and it's like a 46-day check-in. So we're going to do a 46-day check-in on our F150 Lightning that we have here within the driveway. And these are some things that I've learned that no one will tell you, but people will expect you to know just because you bought an EV vehicle. If you're anything like me, you bought your EV, you did enough research to know what you wanted, you did enough research to know about the automaker, and you did enough research to know if there was any recalls on the EV before you bought it. Hence the reason I got an F150. My last video when I first bought it, I talked about going from a 350 to my 150. So let's talk about what I've learned in that little bit of time. So for starters, my F150 Lightning, this is the biggest gripe for me. This is something that I didn't know. This is something that people just expect you to know when you're buying an EV, that there is just no way to know to even look it up. That's like asking someone that's not a bioengineer to look up how to create some type of chemical. Some things you just don't even know where to start, right? I didn't know anything about EVs, and this is crazy to think that anyone should have known this. But when you buy an EV, the number one thing that you have to know that you did not know is that this thing right here does not have the same range in the cold that it has in the warm air. So for instance, I get about 230 miles because I have the standard range. When it's like 60 plus outside, 70 plus, it's cold, 29 degrees at 100%. It's at 160 miles. How is there that much of a range difference? That's just for starters. Let's go over some other things. When you are popping your trunk, and this happened to me. I popped my trunk when I was at the gym, such as so. Okay, trunk pops. I get my gym bag out that you see there. I go into the gym. Well, I get my gym bag out. I press the button here to close it up. As you know, the button to close it. And I walk away from it, hearing that noise there. Now, granted, I walked away like this, and I didn't look back. I get outside the gym after I finish my workout, and then I see that the freaking hood of my truck is still open. Now, granted, I don't know why it was still open. I don't know what was there to block it from going all the way down. And I, quite honestly, feel stupid for not checking it, which is my fault. But my hood was still open when I got back. So, something else to think about. Also, Ford did an update on these things, and the climate control within the app now has a setting in the app to where I have an XLT. I don't have Blue Cruise on here, but Ford had a update on this thing to where you can now set the climate temperature from inside the app as well as which seats you want to be heated. And I'm hearing that people with the upper models, the Platinum and the Lariat, can't adjust the back seat temperature like they can adjust the front seat temperature. Also, now I don't know if that's 100% true. Again, I got an XLT and I don't have a Lariat or a Platinum. I'm only reading forums. Also, you can't adjust the passenger seat temperature, which I find interesting, but you can only adjust the driver temperature. I don't know, little quirks for me. It's just like little things like that. Granted, I do want to say, I love my truck. I want to say that I love my truck. These are just shocks that come along with this purchase that nobody told me, and I had no way to find this out. Also, let me show you guys something else that I find pretty quirky here. In the bed of the truck, somehow, some reason, this Ford emblem has been stamped upside down. I have no clue why or how this was stamped upside down, but it is. Little quirks, just little quirks like that. Also today, getting in my vehicle, I had my heated seats going for about an hour and a half, and I got out and my seats was ironed with like my butt print and the fabric of my pants. I'm not quite sure how that happened. I've never seen this happen before on any of my vehicles, but I have wrinkles ironed into my seat that I cannot get out of my truck now. Cabin wise, I think my truck is pretty well built. I did see a video where a guy said that his knob was loose. I actually don't have that issue of mine. My knob is not loose at all. I also seen another vehicle where people were saying that they had like quality issues with their stitching. I don't have any quality issues with my stitching. I actually think my stitching looks pretty good in this vehicle. Oh, and the passenger seat did not have any wrinkles that appeared from the heated seat. It was only from mine. Also, another thing that I learned from driving my truck was that when you're driving down the road, this mileage, the mileage and kilowatts here differs than the mileage in kilowatts here driving down the highway for an extended period of time. This can be 0.1 to 0.2 off. The worst I've seen is 0.2 off, but it instantly adjusted to 0.1 and then it caught up. But this here, mileage kilowatt, it was different than that mileage kilowatt, but the time was exactly the same. Just little quirks that I just don't understand. I don't know if this is more accurate or this one is more accurate. So yeah, this has been my experience over the 45 days so far. I still love the way it looked. I still love the way it drive. Mileage was a huge shock when it was cold. I still love like the comforts from this vehicle. Now keep in mind, I didn't have all these creature comforts from my other truck when I had it. Like the heated seats. Actually, I'm lying. I had heated and cooled seats on my F350. I don't have it on here because when I bought this, as you've seen in my last video again, when I bought this was a test to see if I was going to like EV. So I opted out of the Platinum to go with the XLT because it was cheaper and I didn't want to buy an expensive vehicle and not like it. But looking back on it, one of my biggest regrets from buying this F150 Lightning is that I did not buy the highest trim. I regret that because this vehicle is such a blast to drive. I'd have just loved to have the sunroof, the panoramic sunroof, and I'd have loved to have heated and cooled seats in the front, and I'd have loved to have heated seats in the rear. That particularly is my biggest regret of not buying the highest trim F-150. I do think they could have did something just a little bit different with the body to differentiate the gas and the EV version besides just lights, which is, pretty much small aesthetic things. I'd have liked to see like maybe a different body line, different curve line. Maybe that'd be something coming down the road. But I love where Ford is going with this. I love that Ford is constantly updating their apps and there's always something new coming down the pipeline with the F-150. We have constant updates with this thing, which is also something that I appreciate about the truck. It's constantly pushing updates. So the technology is always up to date. The last update was from November 19th, which was last month because we're in December now, about 20 days away from Christmas from this filming here. And the updates are just, they're constant and they're relevant to pretty much what I need out of my Lightning. Sometimes when you read in the description of the updates, you can't see exactly what is happening with the update. And I find that to be just kind of like minute, but I would love to see exactly how you help performance, how you help battery power, in what way. Like give me like a detailed report of what the update was. I would love to see that. And maybe it's somewhere out there and I just don't know where it is. But this is my experience so far with driving my F-150 Lightning. I do need to plug it up. Oh, I do want to say, range anxiety is a thing. I took this truck for a drive here recently. I needed to recharge before I got back because, again, I got a standard battery instead of the extended range battery. So I'm only getting at most 200 miles out of that battery, even though it says 230. I stopped at a recharge station that was supposedly a DC fast charging station. And at home, I'm on level 2, which is about 7.2 kilowatts an hour. When I was charging there, I was only getting about 20. And when I tell you that it was the slowest charge I had ever been on, and I regretted having an EV at that moment, I did, because I was used to getting my first stop. I did 65 kilowatts at my first EV charging station on my last road trip. And on this one, I stopped off at a Kia dealership, a Hyundai dealership, but their charger was slow. I paid about $10 for that charge, and it was on the charge literally for almost an hour. Did not have on these vehicles, you have hotspot. I did not have my hotspot active on my truck at the time. And so you can imagine sitting in your vehicle for 1 hour, literally having nothing to do. You check your emails, you check text messages, you might look at social media for a little bit, but after a while, you're just ready to get home. This was on the way home from Thanksgiving. You're just ready to get home, and that EV experience was definitely one that I'll remember forever and I will never do again. So there are a lot of things that I hope that someone watching this video sees and they don't make the same mistake I did. Make sure that you go to a DC fast charger if you're on the highway and you need to refuel, because this will be make or break for buying an EV or keeping an EV, is that fast charging. Right now, this is a new technology. We're trying to adopt it. We got a new administration coming in. We don't know what's happening. So EVs aren't going anywhere. I'm not worried about that. Technology will change. It's too ingrained in society right now to kick it out of society. But this is honestly what I would tell you. If you're looking at getting an EV, from my 45-day experience, I would tell you to do it. I would tell you to do it because your experience for what you need it for is going to be different from the next person's experience and what they need it for. And if you're buying this to tow like 400 miles, over the highway from state to state, I would say we're not quite there yet, unless you don't mind a vehicle, unless you don't mind MPGE, miles per gallon estimate. And that's going to show you how much range you have with your battery, but it's not actually the range that you have. So if it says 400, you might get 360 out of it, something like that. That's just a general statement. Don't take that as the Bible, but that's just an ideal. So buy these with a grain of salt. If you're towing heavy across the long distance, I would tell you to get a diesel truck. I would not tell you to do EV unless you are in no hurry to go from state to state with a heavy load. Now, if you're towing a U-Haul trailer or something like that from state to state, fine. This will be great for that. In my opinion, 5 to 7,000 pounds would be the most I would tow with this state to state. Anything heavier than that, I would get a diesel truck just because I wouldn't want to stop as much. Anything over 7, I'm assuming is a bigger load that needs to make it somewhere by a certain time. So this is my experience. This has been my ownership here of my F-150 Lightning. And again, I do enjoy my Lightning. I love it. I'm still happy I bought it. These are just things that I wish that someone had told me in the beginning that I didn't know. I wouldn't even have known to ask. But other than that, this is a pretty solid truck. Oh, my electricity bill went up by like $10 over the month. That's literally it. You won't hear me argue with that at all. You won't hear me say that's bad. You won't hear me in any way say that I wish I had a gas-powered vehicle. But I still do. But I also have another vehicle that's not here currently. You won't hear me say that I wish I had a gas-powered vehicle. There is no part of me that misses my gas-powered vehicle. Now, ask me, do I miss my diesel? Absolutely. I miss cranking up and hearing it. But I love driving this truck. I love not having that expense of a petrol diesel vehicle. And I still love my Lightning. Guys, my name is Preston from Autonatics, and I hope that someone takes something from this. And this is my experience 45 days into my F-150 Lightning. Thank you for watching. Peace.